Hello and welcome everyone, this is Dmitry and we are having another network programmability stream. Today is part 22 of our series. Today we are going to continue contributing to Nornir, which is Python automation framework. We already had, I think, at least 3 or maybe even 4 streams about Nornir before. So yeah, today we'll just continue working on the existing issues and new features for Nornir, and hopefully we'll get it done. I actually don't have a very specific plan in my mind. I have a couple of ideas, a couple of issues that I wanted to work on, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know yet. Before we start, as usual, couple of announcements / news. So we didn't have a stream last weekend, and the reason why is that because I was in Las Vegas for our annual Cisco conference, Cisco internal conference called GSX. It's our biggest internal sales conference. It's kind of like Cisco Live but internal. Obviously, I can't talk about everything that was happening there because it's internal, but there are a couple of things that I would like to share with you guys. So this time, unlike at Cisco Live, I didn't have anything to present really, so that was good because at Cisco Live, yes, I had sessions every day and it was very stressful. So here at GSX, I was, just hanging around, meeting friends and meeting people that I know somehow or met before, and just having some time to spend with them, to hang out with them was great. Another thing that happened is that I met Bogdan. I think to pronounce his last name correctly will be Donia. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm sorry. So he's from Romania, and it's actually interesting because he is one of the reasons I joined Cisco. So back in the days when I was still a student, I always wanted to work for Cisco. I attended Cisco Networking Academy and so on, and I was looking for ways to get into Cisco. Then I stumbled upon Cisco Krakow Facebook page, and there were a series of webinars hosted by this guy, by Bogdan. Sometimes it was him presenting, sometimes he invited experts from Krakow Tech to talk about some topic, and this is how I got to know Cisco Krakow, and it got me interested. And a year later I joined Cisco with a graduate program, and unfortunately Bogdan was not anymore working on that stuff. He changed his role, and then later he joined sales, so we never really met in person, and we haven't really talked about virtually as well. And then we just stumbled upon each other at GSX, and yeah, it was really great, just a small thing like this, just hosting some webinars can really change someone else's life. So that was interesting, and Celia Spiro from DevNet did what she's doing the best. She recorded the video of us, very brief video. So if you're curious about that, go check out my or hers LinkedIn page or Twitter. The small stories are so really interesting that something like this can happen. Also, if you kind of interested what was going on there are a lot of photos and videos on my Twitter page, and some of my thoughts there. So I was also I will jump to the last piece here. There was one session that I think was super great, uh, mainly because it's very relevant to what I'm doing every day, which is network programmability. So this session was called NetDevOps Transition with Style. It was delivered by famous Hank Preston from Cisco DevNet. He's developer evangelist there. Yeah, we know Hank. I know Hank for quite a while now. He's a great person, and he's doing so much for Cisco DevNet, and for the NetDevOps in general. So check out his content in general. But talking about this session specifically, I got to learn some new things that I heard of but haven't seen in action really. And this session, even though it was our internal conference, it was really there was nothing really internal there, and there wasn't there wasn't anything internal there. So I guess the session will be available at some point, either at Cisco Live or maybe some other conference, and probably it's going to get recorded as well. So if you will stumble upon this title, I really encourage you to join this session if you are into network programmability or NetDevOps. So a couple of thoughts, and this was the only session that I was live blogging kind of on Twitter. So it's all about this transition from human interaction with CLI based interaction to machine based interaction with CI/CD pipelines and so on. There are a couple of thoughts that I found interesting and useful, like every so often you stumble upon this big uptime of our routers and switches, like 5 years, 10 years. And when I was working in Cisco Tech, it was also the case that we are seeing like switches running for, like, very usual thing was to see a switch running for 3 years. Like 5.7 was obviously a little bit rarer. It was less frequent, but we still were seeing that. But his thought was, it's not really a great thing. There is nothing to be proud of here. Well, there is one thing to be proud of, is that device and hardware and software can handle being up and running for so long. But in general, it's not really a great thing, because it means that there were no software updates there, right? And the whole concept was we have to be more agile, and as much as I don't like this word, I think it best describes what it is. We have to stop fearing doing the changes in the network. Instead, we should do changes quite often with our rollback plan ready, and most of that part should be automated. So this thought of, let's actually do upgrades, let's make our network configuration changes more often, and be ready when something goes wrong, right? Be always ready. So you do this kind of like incremental changes or whatever they are, and if something goes wrong, and how do you measure this? This is also a very important piece, right? So how do you know that something really goes wrong, right? So you have to set up this kind of criteria, this kind of tests that you run before doing the change and after doing the change. And if the test fails, it automatically rolls back to the previous state. So And by doing though, you can be relieved from this burden, from this fear of doing the network change. I do think it's really important piece. I do think a lot of customers do really fear their network because it's such a critical piece of infrastructure. And I also do believe that we have to change that. We have to borrow this practice of software development where we were applying the CI/CD principles for years now. For example, how usual, let's say, a web application works now. So you have a pool of your worker apps. There is a load balancer in front, and what happens is that, well, if there is some kind of change, it's usually you build like a new Docker container or whatever. It's pushed to the pool, but it's not yet active, but it's already up and running. And then you can just click one button and say, okay, I would like to destroy the current running instances of the old application and just run the new ones. And you also have a way to roll back everything. Obviously, you can't do really the exact same thing in the networks, because we can't spin up like multiple networks and so on. But the general principle is that you push a change, you do a test, you see if it's okay or not, and if something is not okay, you roll back to previous state. I do think it's really important. So there were a lot of great thoughts there. Again, unfortunately, it's not available yet because it was internal conference, but I'm pretty sure the session will made to some other conferences and will be available for wider audience. So if you do stumble upon this title, make sure you join this session. I really encourage you to. Another couple of things here that, well, I learned a little bit more about NSO and PyATS, and especially PyATS. This is something I heard of for a while. I saw the initial release back in, I think, January or December, but I haven't really touched it. There are really interesting pieces, even though it's Python test framework. There are a lot of pieces that can be used actually for things other than tests, including parser engine, including network configuration, including machine readable data, and so on and so forth. So we'll definitely have a stream about PyATS. I got hyped to the point where I actually want to try it. I'm not sure when, most likely in a couple of weeks, maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks. I do not know yet, it really depends on my schedule. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I am actually excited, even though it's not like yet extremely popular thing, but I do believe it has a lot of power, so looking forward to that. Last piece is that well, we had a concert. We had One Republic playing for attendees of the conference. But important thing is not the band. Important thing that got me curious is that at some point when One Republic frontman was talking to the audience, there were flags raised in the arena, in the venue of the people coming from different countries, and at that point I really felt how diverse the company is that I'm working for. I saw flags from, and it was me like staying very, very close to the scene. I saw at least flags of Portugal, Brazil, South Korea, Norway, US, Argentina, couple of other countries, and this is something that I just saw staying in front. Like I haven't seen the whole arena because it was crowded, and it's just cool feeling like there is this, well, one event and one company where there are people really coming from so many different countries and are in the same place. So really interesting feeling, I must tell you. So yeah, I'm really excited about Cisco GSX. I had a chance not to write code and work on my current projects for a week, which was also great, but now I feel recharged and I'm ready to get back. One thing that I don't like is just the travel itself, like these long flights. Especially on the way there, I had my flight cancelled, so it was a mess. But I'm glad it all worked out in the end, and I'm back at home and trying to fight with jet lag now. So if you feel me yawning, if you see me yawning, you know why it's happening. There is some comment in the chat. From one network guy, I was wondering if there are more to PyTS than just testing use cases. Glad to hear your thoughts. Yeah, there are definitely more use cases than tests there. So yeah, as I told you, from what I saw, that there is a parsing engine. You can automatically parse a lot of existing commands as well to get structured data. You can interact with all Cisco devices, in vendor independent way, if it makes sense. So you just basically build a Python objects, and then the framework itself has already built-in mappings to like commands or, the Yank models if device supports that. And you also can, the biggest part of the framework is open source. You can also write your own plugins for that. I will have to do some hands-on and see for myself, but I got a little bit hyped, so it will definitely make its way onto the stream. Okay, and another piece that I wanted to share with you guys is, it feels kind of out of the place, but there are a couple of interesting thoughts there. So this week there was the biggest Dota 2 tournament held right in Vancouver, Canada. It's called The International. It was the 8th iteration of this tournament. I am personally not playing Dota 2. I played it, I think, like 3 years ago, a little bit. I'm not like I don't play well this game, and I don't play it right now as well. I do like the genre though, the all MOBA, whereas there is 5 versus 5 online only, blah blah blah. But what I wanted to share with you guys is that unfortunately I didn't get to watch the whole tournament. I get to watch only the last 2 days because I came back on Friday. So I was watching it on Friday and Saturday. Yesterday was the last day of the tournament. I really felt like esports right now is very close to usual sports. There is so many people watching that. There is so much drive and passion, and you can see players really doing their best and playing on 150%, trying to win. So last night there was a final, and I saw the numbers of like Twitch audience. So the Russian stream was around 200,000 people watching on Twitch. The English speaking stream was 350,000 of people, and this was only on Twitch, right? There was even more official way to watch it using the Steam itself. So the numbers were just ridiculous, and there were also people live there in the arena watching the match. So I'm really curious to see how the esports will develop further. So the prize pool was in general, I think 24 or 25 millions of dollars. The first place got 11 millions of dollars. And yeah, just enormous money. Another interesting piece is that OpenAI, and I already talked about this a couple of streams before. So OpenAI is artificial intelligence built by company, and Jesus, I forgot what was the name, but this company is owned by Elon Musk, and they are applying machine learning, in particular reinforcement learning, to teach the bot how to play games. And this time they were playing 5 versus 5 on the arena versus professional teams. They had a previous match 5 versus 5 versus ex-professional team, where the bot beat them 2-1. This time they had 2 games versus the current professional teams, and the bot lost. The bot lost 0-2. So I unfortunately didn't have a chance to watch it live. We'll see if I will actually watch it later in the recording or not, but in general I'm still excited how far artificial intelligence goes, and I'm pretty sure that the next year it will not happen again, and I'm pretty sure the bot will beat the shit out of human players next year in 5 versus 5. I'm really looking forward to that. Right now humanity still has a chance, so let's enjoy while we can. So in general their purpose, even though they built a bot for this game, in general they are applying the same techniques to solve some other problems. I think the medicine is their primary area of interest, and so really exciting how far artificial intelligence is right now. So so this was Dota 2 TI8. It ended yesterday, and I was up until today's morning, so again I will probably be yawning during the whole stream. The last piece that I wanted to share with you is that I read this article called The Modern Tower of Babel in Network Coding and Automation by Net Craftsman. So if you Google for that, so The Modern Tower of Babel, let's see, Tower, Net Craftsman. Yes, this one. So it has a lot of interesting thoughts about network automation in general, and to get it working. What did I do? Oh, I think I know what it is. Let's see. So this one. It has a lot of great thoughts. I don't agree with everything taught here. So like there were thoughts about, don't reinvent the wheel and stuff like that. You already have different tools to do these different tasks like network configuration, so instead of doing everything in Python, you may use different tools. And I actually don't agree really with that. I do feel that if you're starting with network programmability, it's really good idea to reinvent the wheel if you can find the solution very fast, because you will learn a lot. Once you are more experienced, and you will make your own decision what needs to be reinvented and what's not. But in general, in the beginning, I see no problem. It's people reinventing the wheel and doing the already solved tasks by themselves, because they will just learn how to code in Python. And until you get to that level of confidence where you are comfortable with the language, I see nothing wrong with that. Even right now, like I have almost 6 years of Python experience. Every so often, I tend to repeat the same tasks again. First, either mostly they will not take a lot of time, so sometimes it's easier for me to redo the same thing rather than search for my code snippets that I already had somewhere on my computer, on the GitHub, whatever. So that piece. And sometimes also kind of like want to remember how to work with the framework or with the libraries that I'm using and so on. So yeah, I see no problem with reinventing the wheel in programming, especially when you start. There are a couple of other things, like an API is it's hard to work with APIs. I do agree with that, but yeah, in general, I am usually happy if there is any kind of documentation about API, because I every so often I have to investigate how API works using the Chrome developer tools or like browser development tools, because they are just not documented. So yes, not always the documentation is great, but even if it exists, it's much better than not. So yeah, this is my take on it. There is some thoughts on cross-platform as well. I don't think this is ever going to happen. OpenConfig is the closest thing to vendor independent configuration, but there are some problems with OpenConfig too. In general, I wrote the response on Twitter. I wrote a Twitter thread. So if you just go to my Twitter account and you scroll like 1 week before, you will find this Twitter thread. So I think like it contains like 5 or 8 Twitter posts, kind of like reply to this article. But in general, it's a good article to read. So yeah, this is it from announcements perspective, from news perspective. Couple of other things. So last time we were writing a simple Django web application, and this was probably the first time on the stream where I finished everything that I wanted to finish on the stream. So our web application, it was very simple. It had a very simple database as well, where we had a couple of devices which we populated with the data like username, password, IP address. When you go to the website, you see a list of your devices. You can click on any device, and then it goes to the device and fetches the interfaces and their description and their status, like administrative status and current link status. And then you can basically click on the button to switch it on and off. So you click on the button and it goes to the device and shuts or unshuts the interface. So this was the idea behind it. Very simple app. It didn't take a lot of time to create it, maybe like 2.5 hours, considering that I was doing that live. So if you're ever thinking about doing a web app for the network interaction, I do encourage you to watch the stream. It doesn't do everything in modern way, like with all JavaScript magic and all of that stuff, because web development stack, the current web development stack of technologies is quite diverse and requires a lot of skill set. So you need to know currently like backend web framework, databases, key value stores like Redis. You need to know how to work with queues like Celery. You need to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and you probably need to know JavaScript framework, and you also need to know how to build an API on the backend. So the modern stack of web development is just quite complex and quite diverse. So that's why we were using some older approaches to building websites, but it just worked. So I see, well, if you are ever thinking about doing web app, just make sure you check that out. So with that, let's move to today's topic, and let me know, guys, if you have any questions either about what I discussed or in general. I will be happy to talk with you. So what we are going to do today, we are going to work on the Nornir. So so it's Nornir automation, Nornir. And Nornir is a Python automation framework. It feels kind of like Ansible, but where you write your playbook in Python code. This is probably the easiest explanation of Nornir for people who are familiar with Ansible. As you probably know, I am now very vocal fan of the project, even though I was kind of skeptical in the beginning, but my opinion has changed, and I am migrating. Well, I actually have migrated my work project to it now, and haven't been happier. So I do encourage you guys to check it out as well. In general, what we are going to do, I have a couple of issues in my mind, but I still haven't made a decision on what I want to work on. So let me go to the issues and see what are the news. So there are a bunch of issues. You can see my name on a lot of issues that I open. But yeah, let's just let's contribute code to it, and let's see. So a couple of things that I wanted to work on. One of them is the Nornir and async IO. So one of the ideas was to be able to support asynchronous backend in Nornir. So currently Nornir is using threads and your usual Python libraries, but my idea was that you can also create a task which will use async library, and it could use async to do the same kind of work. So because if you think about it, and I already before had a couple of streams about async IO in general, with threads, you spawn threads, there is a little bit overhead for creating a threads, and then, well, the biggest problem with threads is that they change context in random time. You don't have control over that. With async IO, however, you create tasks where you specifically mark the places where the program can go ahead and do something else with a wait statement. So you have explicit points in your programs where your task switching can occur. You are less on the overhead from the threads because there are no threads. You run everything in one thread. In general, the idea is that if I'm doing any kind of input-output operation, like I'm going to the network, I'm going to network device doing something and I'm waiting for response, or I'm doing HTTP request and I'm waiting for HTTP response, I can go ahead and do something else. So this is the whole idea behind asynchronous programming. In Python, it's represented by sync.io library. So one of the ideas is to enable Nornir to work with async.io. So this is one thing that I'm thinking to work on today. Another thing is there are a couple of other pieces. So to set up a Nornir logging properly, so currently there is a weird issue when you define your logging mechanism, and so if you have a code like this where you invoke some logging before and you try to log something after, so this Nornir itself, Nornir steals hijacks the logger, so this second log will not appear in your logs. So I could work on this issue. Another piece that I'm interested about and I think is important is, well, there are actually two more. One of them is, let me try to find it. Nope. This one. So support for several. Oh yeah, so support for several connections using the same plugin. So the idea here is that you can create in your like host vars for your host some kind of markers where you say, oh, I'm using NetMiko plugin, for example, but I'm using NetMiko using SSH and using terminal server at the same time. So how to distinguish settings for these two? So this was my idea, and this is required for my project where I'm connecting via SSH, but sometimes I also need to connect via console. So this is this piece. Yeah, there are so many issues I could work on, so I have literally no idea. Another piece is the proper API for registration new connection plugins. Nope, plugin dependencies maybe. Oh, this one, augment connection class. So the idea here is that if you define your own connection, let's say you created a VMware ESXi plugin, you can use a specific method to register this with a name, let's say VMware or something like this. This part is not done, and I think this one is actually important. So you could call something like this. You can register your plugin class with a specific name. Yeah, this one I think is quite important to get it right. So let me know, guys, if you have any preference, because I still kind of like hesitant. I have no idea what I want to work on today. But that's fine, we'll figure it out on the fly. So yeah, if you have any preferences, let me know. Probably the most exciting piece is to enable async.io support, but it's also probably going to be the most complicated one, and I have zero confidence we will be able to get anywhere on the stream. So yeah, so it can be the most exciting, but the scariest, well, not the scariest, but just we may spend 2 hours and not get anywhere. This is what may happen. So meanwhile, I will go to the correct directory here. will change to the branch 2.0, and we will do git fetch upstream, and let's do git pull and git log fixed UC load for YAML. Oh, this is interesting piece. Let me check this commit. Fixing issue is not. What has happened here? I am not behind. I haven't touched any code for a week. I feel like, yeah, there is so many things happen. That's okay. So let's see the commits that I want to see. So 2.0, this one. Okay, we are using C loader here. Okay. Let's also see what has been merged. Okay. By the way, an interesting piece. David Barroso, who is the main mind behind the Nornir, had this thread on Twitter talking about how loading YAML in Python is slow. So he had a YAML file with 100k lines, and he was complaining that it took 35 seconds to load it. And well, I gave him a suggestion that in YAML, this is a library to load YAML in Python. You can use a specific flag which is called type save, which will use C loader if that is available. And he did that, and the loading time decreased from 35 seconds to 3, which I think is kind of hilarious. So if you don't use YAML YAML type save, you should definitely use that. Unless you use comments in YAML, which I haven't seen a lot of people are using anyway. So I will show you, by the way, what is the syntax looks like. Okay, so I'm going to 0. So yeah, the syntax is like this. So you create a YAML object using YAML, and you say type is equal to save. And that's pretty much it. This is the only difference you need to make. Okay, so this got merged. This I have no idea what this is about. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, I don't see any suggestions here in the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the quite important piece, which is registration of the plugins. Even though it's not the most exciting piece, as I told you, but I feel it's just important. So let me pull up the issues here. So it's this one, augment connection class, and this is the whole idea. So we will need this class method called register, and then you will be able to register your plugin. So let's go ahead and try doing that. Okay, 2.0 git status, perfect. Okay, so we are up to date now. So let's go ahead and do a git checkout -b, and let's say augment connections. Okay, we created a new branch. We are right now here in the new branch. Let me do this. I am trying to remember everything that I have to remember. I'm using here, I don't remember if I'm using pip file or not. Let me do this. ls minus la vn bin. Okay, so I think I stopped using pip file. So I think I can do vn bin activate. Okay, and then I should be able to say mypy on Nornir, and it should pass. It doesn't. Oh, okay. It's failing for netcon, which is just fine. Mypy Nornir. Oh, and there is yet another piece, which is at some point we were creating a netconf connection plugin, but then there were some changes in the core, so which render right now a couple of errors. So I have to fix that because I haven't pushed my netconf plugin yet to the upstream. I haven't created the pull request, so because there is couple of things that have to be done, which is like creating tests for netconf, and that part is complete mystery to me as well. So yeah, I haven't done that part yet. Yeah, so there are so many things I could work on, but yeah, let's just focus on one, which is this. So augment connection class. Okay, so yeah, I will definitely have to explore the core a little bit more because I just don't remember anything. So for example, let's take a Netmika plugin here. So you have Netmika plugin here. It defines all these parameters, blah blah blah. So every plugin should define open and close function. Then if I go to initpy, in the initpy we have these available connections, and there is this dictionary where you say, okay, this is the name of my plugin. In this case, it's Napalm, and it's being mapped to the class called Napalm. And then later, I think in the, I don't remember where. I think it should be in the inventory. Pretty sure it was in the inventory. No, yes, it's right here. So for host, you had get connection, and you had, I can't find it. Get connection parameters. Nope, not here. So then it should be somewhere else. Oh, available connections, the edit of connection times that will be made available. Excuse me. Okay, so in the Nornir object we had this parameter which is here, and then it's saved here in available connections. Alright. So here's my idea. We'll have to create here where is this guy being used? Let me see. So find usages. Okay, class hosts, and every host has this self that connections, which is this object. Yeah, okay, so my idea here would be to extend this class. So I would need to create a class method. Oh, and one more thing before we go will be I want to run tests before I start messing around, because it's a good idea to do. Docs. Well, I think I can just run by test. Okay, let's just run tests to see that it's all right now. It must be, because otherwise the code will not be able to be merged. All tests are working fine. Let me check one additional thing here. MyPy. I will have to update MyPy as well. So pip install u MyPy and MyPy extensions. Okay. Pip install u minus pip. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I'm now ready to start messing around. So the idea here is that we create a class method called register. So def register class, and this is pretty much it. I have none. Class name value. Okay, so we have name and value. Well, class object. Connection name, class object. So connection name is going to be string. Class object is going to be type of connection plugin. And from typing I have to import type. Okay, so we have this, and now we need to have available, which is going to be dict of str type connection plugin, and this is going to be an empty dictionary. So very similar thing where we had these available connections, very similar. Now this is part of this class, so let's go ahead and do this. So available, what else we need to do? Register okay. So the idea here is that if you register, well, I guess we'll need to have two things. We will need register, and we will need deregister. So deregister, and this will be class connection name string, and return type is going to be none, so pass. Okay, so the idea here is that we will have to just populate this available dictionary. We will need our own exception though. So connection exception. Let's create another one. So class connection already registered, connection exception pass. Cool. Yes, and now I have to import that. So from Nornir core exceptions, I need to import connection already. What? I can't spell. Registered. Okay. Connection already registered. So we are getting that. So we are saying here if connection name in class available, then we raise connection already registered, and we say, well, connection connection name was already registered. Oh, and there is one additional thing. I have to pip install a u black pip freeze grep black. And oh, okay. If connection name in class available, raise connection already registered. Connection name was already registered. Okay. So if this happens, we raise the exception. Otherwise, we're going to say class available connection name is going to be the and I have to change this a little bit. I don't like this. So let's do plugin connection plugin already registered. Connection plugin already registered. Connection plugin already registered. So class available connection name is going to be the class object. We'll change this. So we will have name and we will have plugin. Name plugin, and then we'll say is equal to plugin. So, and then we will have to do the same thing for deregister. So we will have class method called deregister, where we will say connection name. Well, yeah, we'll just need connection name. So here is going to be if name not in class available, we are going to say that we are raising another error which you have to create. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so plugin not registered. So if name not in class available, raise a connection plugin. Oh, we have to import it. So we'll do this. Connection plugin not registered. Okay. And now we raise this. which can pretty much copy paste. Connection plugin, not registered connection was not registered. Otherwise we are going to say class available pop, and we are going to say, well, name. Yeah, this is pretty much it. So yeah, I think this is part is it. Here, at least in this file, I'm pretty satisfied with this. David was saying to me that there was some kind of import issue if you do something like this, but we'll see. Okay, so I have register, I have deregister, I have my class connection. So now I have to go ahead and find the place where it is being used, which I'm pretty sure was in the inventory. Somewhere. Okay, so here, if you think about it, let me pull up my Visual Studio Code. What is the idea here? So we have this class connections. So I will just say class host has attribute where we are saying self connections is equal to connection class. So this is what we have. Okay. In general, this connection class is a dictionary, and this dictionary, and I will regret this, but I will just trying to install some upgrade live. Let's see how it goes. Usually it's not the best idea. No, okay. Okay, I will leave this because I would like to read release notes later. Okay, but let's go back here. So we have class host which has this attribute, self connection is equal to connections. Connection itself is being, if you could see here that we are inheriting it from the dictionary. Okay, so in fact this is just a dictionary where you map a connection name to the actual instance of connection plugin. Okay, but before we do that, we would like to register all plugins that are available so you know what exists. So the way it was previously done, as I already showed, it was done here in the init file. Not here. No, here. So it was done here. We had this available connection dictionary, but I'm saying that, well, let's create a public API to do that, because if you would like to define it yourself, then you will have to create this available dictionary, available connections dictionary on your own and pass it to Nornir object. I don't want to do that. I would like me externally being able to use public API. Okay. So this is why we moved this to class variable, which is called available. It's very similar. It's also a dictionary where we just populating this dictionary using methods register and deregister. So then from external user perspective, you would say, well, if I would like to register, like from external user perspective, you would say from Nornir core connections, import, actually no, yes. You would say import connections, and you would say connections register, and then the name of your plugin, let's say my cool plugin, and this will be extraordinary plugin that you have defined here. So you have class extraordinary plugin, so something like this. Excuse me folks, I really haven't slept a lot after the international, which ended yesterday around 6 a.m. my time. And you know what, I will also do another thing, just bear with me folks. No, unfortunately you will be able to hear the noise from the street. I will have to close it again. Yeah, I wanted to get some air, but there is noise. So this is not going to happen. Okay, so I like where this is going. We can register, we can deregister, we can even create another parameter called force register. I think it's actually good. So force and bool true, actually false. So basically this one will not raise an exception. So we will say if force and name in class available, we are actually no, if not force and name in class available, so we will be raising exception only if the force is true, which is by default false. Okay, good, this part is good. So I was talking about you create your class, you do some magic, you need to say def open, pass def close pass, and then you say from Nornir connections import connections, and you say this, and your plugin is registered to do a thing. So you have to change a little bit how we are getting this to work. So we'll comment out this part. Because we are not going to use this anymore. There are a couple of other places. So I think it should be init. Okay, you'll have to comment out this part. If available connection is not known, data available connections. Well, this could be somewhere in tests. No usage is found. Okay, so we don't need this part, I guess. Available connections dictionary, dictionary connection types that will be made available. Quentin the LAN tamer, thank you very much for subscription. Very much appreciated as always. How are you doing? Thank you very much for joining as well. Today we have not many people, but that's fine. Yeah, last week I had to skip the stream, but this week I am back on track. Okay, so here if you look on this data, it's also here, which I do not like it being here. So self-available connections, no, we don't need this anymore. Let me see if we can find in other places. Available connections, get connection type. Okay, so here we would need to change I don't know, I do not know if this is a proper API here. So class Nornir, it has this function called get connection type. So this get connection type is going to be, oh wow, learning some CI/CD, nice. Oh, what happened? I mean, CI/CD is not very popular within network engineering, so how come? And what is the tools that you are learning? Is it Jenkins or GitLab CI/CD or something else? Drone maybe? Oh, nice, nice. That's awesome. Interesting. I haven't heard about VSTS yet. Yeah, there are so many tools in all of the DevOps, net DevOps right now. It's really hard to keep track of. Awesome. I hope you like it, Quentin. I have a difficult question for you. Now that you are on this team, I guess you're not doing as much networking as you were doing before. What do you feel about the CCIE? Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you spent a lot of time so already, so it would be difficult, right, to just give it up. But tell me this, if you were just thinking to start it, would you do it again considering your new role? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's difficult. I remember myself that when I passed my CCI, I was really thinking about another one, but then I was starting doing more and more network automation and net DevOps and all that stuff. So I I kind of stopped thinking about it. Like priorities changed and shifted, and just in this field of network automation, there is so many things that you could explore, um, that I feel like, okay, I probably CCI is not on the first place for me right now. Nice, perfect. I have seen only the blueprint, but yeah, you know I didn't do anything with this. My plan though is, well, I do not know if it will work out or not. To actually get research, I need to invest some time into continuous education to do that, and then try getting on the board for the evolving technologies track, so I could try influencing how this track changes going forward. Yeah, yeah, mine is suspended right now. Yes. Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, I do hope that if I feel like there is something not great with this, right, then it's not enough just to whine about it, but if I have some power or something to change it, then I should definitely do it, right? Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But I definitely need to refresh mine first, because once you get on it, you can't uh, you can't do an exam again. So I think there are like ways to refresh it if you're there, but you can't do exam anymore. You can't do continuous education anymore or something like this. I don't know 100%, but there are some restrictions obviously, since you have inside knowledge of the exam. Yeah. Okay. I need to find where else I get this get connections type. Okay, this is the only place. Okay, this is good. So only an open connection. So here in hosts, I need to have, so I have this connections class. It's self connections. So I should be able to say this self connections, and connection, which is going to be connection name, is going to be self connections get plugin connection, and then invoke it. Okay, so here I'm creating an instance again, which kind of makes sense. Okay, there are a couple other places where this may fail. So in the plugin itself, I have to register it at the very bottom now. So this is going to say from Nornir core connections import connection plugin, but also import connections. So I guess this, and here at the bottom I will say connections register, and this is napalm, so we will say napalm. We are registering it with the napalm. Okay. Okay, so something like this. Now we have to replicate this part. So netconf will skip this part for now. Let's do it for netmiko as well. So this will be netmiko, and this will be netmiko here as well. And I have to import this as well. So connections. So connections register, and there is a last one. So here connections. Yeah, here. So this one is called paramiko, and here we are registering this as well. Connections register. Yeah. Okay. This looks good. This plugin connects blah blah blah, self connection clause. Right. Get plugin. Okay, I think this is supposed to work, but we know how it goes. So let's run PyTest here. I'm pretty sure a lot of tests are going to fail, but whatever. Okay, so there are a couple of things that are already failed. Test open and close connection. Okay. Well, at least I didn't break everything, which is a good thing. I broke only a couple things. So, okay, we'll have to go to tests. Maybe it's actually a problem with tests. So core, which one? Test connections. So this part is breaking. Well, every task here fails. Oh, I know why. Of course, because this class was not registered. So, of course, this makes perfect sense. So I have to register this first, which will be register. And this is going to be called dummy. And we'll say dummy connection plugin. This may change in some other place though. Yeah, we'll have to find it. This may be in conf test. Not here. Not here. Okay, so I broke something. I mean everything. Data object is no attribute available connections. Data object has no attribute available connections. Let me see what tests failed. Okay, so a lot of tests passed. So only all connections tests failed. Validate params. Yeah, this is going to be not fun. I have an idea though. Before checking the tests, I actually like to make sure that what we built here works. Okay, if you look on these tests, you see that the first thing that is going on here is we are saying Nornir data available connections dummy is this, which, okay, I think I know what is going on here. So we have to replace this line with registration line. We have to say connections register dummy Let's try this. Okay. Dummy, 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 no overrides, dummy. Okay. Hopefully this will work. Dummy. Okay. Okay. I am ready. Let's see. Unfortunately, my knowledge of PyTest is actually bad. I think every test in the class is run independently, so that's why we need to register multiple times. Well, tests are passing right now. This is a good sign. Aww, 4 tests failed. Okay. Okay, it says Nornir core connections exceptions. Connection plugin already registered. Okay, so actually these tests are run one by one okay, yeah. So this is not going to work this way. Again, my PyTest knowledge is just bad. I have an easy way to fix this, and I have a harder way to fix this. Python PyTest add routine for class. I think if I put this under class, it will just work. Yeah, I don't remember how, well, not that I don't remember, I have no idea how to use fixtures properly. PyTest class setup is set of fixture. Okay, fixtures as function arguments. Sharing a fixture instance across tests in a class modules or section. Nope. Nope. Okay, using fixtures from classes, modules, or project. Okay. This is not what I want. PyTest class setup fixture. Okay, this one seems correct. Let's try doing this. Okay. So here we'll say we'll just register two plugins. What is going on? Okay. And we'll say what domino overrides as well. Okay, so we'll comment this part out. Yeah, Python testing is a whole another beast. I definitely have to spend time reading a book or something. So we need another thing. Playtest run only failed. Okay, only rerun failures. Okay, minus -lf. Okay, so let's try, go ahead and do that. -lf. Is it -lf? Yes, it's -lf. Okay, now those tests are passed. And this looks good. So our failed tests passed. So now we are going to go ahead and rerun PyTest for everything. And if that is done, then, well, we are good to go. Okay. And the last piece for testing this will be an actual netconf class that, well, we didn't finish, but it was working. So what we are going to do is we are going to, okay, so every test has passed. So now what we are going to do is we are going to go to our netconf. We'll have to fix it just a little bit. I think there is one problem though, and I think I just realized this. Oh, No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, we are tracking correct branch. Okay, so this netconf plugin, I think I'm going to do the following. I'm going to move napalm to the right and compare it. So we have hostname, username, password, port which is int, platform which is str, connection options, optional dict str any, and then configuration which is optional config and none. Okay, so here we are going to say connections register, and we're going to say netconf netconf. Okay, we'll have to import our connections here as well. I want to kind of like go through this piece of code real quick. Okay, so connection params gets host, username and password. If platform is not none, we are going to add it there. Connection params, device params, name. If platform is not none, connection params, device params, and if the port exists, we are going to also add port. If connections options is not none, well, is none, we are going to pass them here. Well, we will do this is not none. We are going to update. Okay. If connection options, we are going to update self connection manager connect connection params. Okay, this looks good to me. This part, I don't see any problems here. We may have some problems here in the one of the plugins. So for this task, we're going to use, let's say, get config, the easiest one. So we are going to pass task source, keyword arguments, result, connection, task host, get connection netconf, result, connection get conf, source, keyword arguments, and then result. Okay, good. So this part looks good to me. What we are going to do is we are going to go to our sandbox here, and we will go to the well, to the anything really. I'm going to comment this part out, and here I'm going to say, well, print a config. Okay. So if this all work is fine, then we should be able to get working. Now there is last piece is that I have to check connectivity to this box. So hosts, I think we were using csrdef, so let me go ahead and check this. So ping 10 48 18 30, which is working fine, and I should be right, we will have to change this a little bit. So this host file is incorrect now. Yes, so this one is platform now. We don't need type anymore. Type is useless. We need to change Nornir hosts to hostname. We have to change Nornir username to username and Nornir password password. Okay, so this looks good. So now I should be able to SSH to Cisco at 1830, excuse me, and Cisco. Nope. Okay, good. Okay, so I can actually log into this device manually. So then we should go ahead and run the script here, which is main py. I hope so. Yeah, let's try doing that. So we have to go to sandbox and say Python main py. str object is what is going on here. str object has no attribute data XML. Okay, definitely didn't work out so well. Okay, yeah, it broke. Module object is not callable. Wow. Module object is not callable. Okay, I'm going to add one additional piece and I forgot how it's called. So we will need to say, I think it's race for errors. Race on error, and it's an argument for run. Okay. Nope. Should be here, configuration. Race on error description. If set to true, method will raise an exception if at least a host failed. Okay, so we have to say in our config YAML file, we have to say true. Okay, so here in the main py we will do this and rerun this, and it should give us a proper exception. Okay, traceback race Nornir execution error. Wow, this is actually not that helpful. I would like to see the whole exception. Maybe it is part of the logging. Let's see. Okay, module object is not callable. Module object is not callable. What does it mean? CSR def run task net config config. Oh, okay. Oops. Okay. Yeah, since we did git pull, this whole netconf stuff disappeared. Oops. Huh. Okay. We will have to fix this. So netconf, it's netconf.py. My thinking was to copy this here and here. And here. Okay, so this part is done. Now, in the init file, we have to change this a little bit. We have to say from you will have to do this. So from all so this part is fine. Now in the init file we have to say from Nornir, from netconf import star, and here we're going to say the same thing as here. What? Okay. So now this is allegedly supposed to work. Okay, now it says connection netconf was not registered. Wow. And it fails where it fails. Well, it also fails here. Well, I have it here. Connection netconf was not registered. Okay, here I am confused. I am not sure what is going on here really. Interesting. Why this part is not registered? Oh, okay. Because this kind of code is supposed to be run from the init So this code hasn't been run yet. I think I get it now, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, if you think about it, now all of these plugins are no. Okay, I don't understand. If we are taking this file, when we are saying from .NET from .NET Mic, oh, okay, there is no from that import. Yeah, I think I know why. So let's do from .NET conf import netconf. Now, and I argue that this registration should kind of happen in one place here. Maybe here. And we will need to move all of these pieces. Like here. Okay. I think this makes sense. Okay. So this part of code is down here. Registration. Yeah, this allegedly should work. And of course it doesn't. Okay, I know a couple of things here. So Nornir core inventory. No, it should be in sandbox. HostYAML. This platform iOS is incorrect. So this should be Cisco ASXE. And this is what is going on here. It says no module named. And then we are failing close connection tasks. Yeah, I argue that this should be very... Okay, now we will skip this, but basically what happened here that we failed with opening connection and then we failed with closing connection. Okay, will this work? It still doesn't work. No module name devices ISXC. Okay, it's just ISXC. Okay. Oh, and it worked now. Perfect. So our module worked here just fine. Which is good. Perfect. Okay, so this is what we needed. So yeah, this seems pretty straightforward, really. There is not much going on here. So now every connections are registered here in the init, which I think is a good thing. So I don't need this part. I deleted a couple of other things in other files. So I will go ahead and clean this up everywhere. Okay, here we'll not need here anything. I don't need this. I don't need here this. I will need an empty line here. Let's go ahead through every file. Okay, empty line here as well. Timecode. Empty line here. Connections. An empty line here. Perfect. And here we have this. We can skip this whole part. Okay, and we are doing registration. We don't need typing as well. So here we are left with this. We don't need these 3 files too. We have all the logic here in one file. And we are doing import here from netconf import star. Okay, this looks good to me. I will redo this whole thing again. Okay, it works. I'm going to change my main py file to make use of these other tasks that we have. So main py, I don't need this anymore. I don't need printing config, but we will also try to use netconf get. We will not use edit config. So we'll just run these things and hopefully it will work. Python main py. Okay, and here we go. So we are getting the data for interface statistics using netconf. We are getting the information about boot statement, so you can modify it if you want to upgrade the box. Here we are using inventory filter, which is using device hardware operational model, which pulls all serial numbers and all of that stuff. And then the last piece is just, I think, show version or something. Oh, it's right here. It also pulls the show version here. Okay, cool. So this part works. Let's verify if our tests are still fine. Okay, we have to go back to the folder. So actually I think we finished this part. Okay, so PyTest here is fine. There is another piece is that we will need to modify the docs. Okay, all tests are passed. Okay, so now the last piece is modify docs, and we are actually ready to go ahead and open our pull request. And by the way, this part should be deleted from here because we are right now working on another issue. Okay, so okay, we have to find our docs, and here I have absolutely no idea where to go. Let me see if there is a plugin for PyCharm. So PyCharm Sphinx. No, whatever. We'll just go ahead through the files manually. Okay, so there is how-to and tutorials. I do not know where we should actually go to make this work. Okay, inventory. Nope. Python overview install, initializing index, grouping tasks, fail tasks, executing tasks. Okay, none of these. So I guess we need to go to how to. Oh, and there is another piece in the code I just remembered. So let me go ahead and fix it while I didn't forget. So we had this available connections, which is not really used. And this one is also not used. So this one, we delete it at all. We don't need this part, and we don't need this part. Okay, good. So this part is fine. I think we had another comments where I was trying to this one. Okay, this looks good to me. You have to find the proper place in docs. Configuration. Nope. Contributing. Nope. Advanced filtering, handling connections. Okay, I guess this is one of those handling connections. Well, actually, you know what? This is not correct. Advanced filtering, Okay, writing a custom, no, it's also not that. No. Guess there is no documentation how to write a custom plugin. Yeah. We don't have a lot here. Well, I can actually go ahead and change this. I don't see why we should keep it like this. No, this part will have to be written from scratch. We'll have to say, how do I create a custom connection plugin? We don't have a lot here, so I don't want to do it as part of this PR. It will take much more time and it's not very interesting to watch on the stream as well. Okay, so let's do this. I will double check one thing if I did it right here in the init file, which I think, well, almost. I have to delete this part. Now we are good. So we'll have this part. Let's do git status. Diff. Okay, Nornir core init by. Okay, I also have to delete this part as well. Okay. Okay, so what is going on here? Data. Oh, okay, here as well. Okay, so we are deleting this line, we are deleting this, we are deleting that. Delete this, delete that. Okay, we are getting rid of this part as well. So connections are changed a little bit. We have our toImport statement. We are creating these class methods, getPlugin, register and deregister. Connection plugin already registered. From .NET-conf import netconf. Okay, and we are. Oh, okay. We will not. Yes, this will have to be changed as well. Okay. Oh, there are also these two pieces in tests that I forgot. So tests and we can get rid of this part. Everywhere. Okay. Cool. Okay, this looks good. So tests are changed a little bit and that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's do git status and we will git add, and we will have to be super careful here what we are adding. So git add Nornir core, definitely. Git status. We can't add anything netconf right now based, because this should be part of another branch. This part will say git add Nornir plugins connections init. Okay, git status. Okay, just these two netconf files are not included here, so we have this part. Okay, so we will say git commit add class methods to connections class for plugin registration, for plugins registration. Okay. Add register method to register a connection. Plugin add to register method to this IP can be used internally and externally by a user. So add the register method to deregister a plugin. No, I will just delete all this. Okay. Okay. And now we have to... No, didn't work. Now we have to git push minus q region augment connections. I think I got it right. Okay. So now this should be on my GitHub page. Let's go ahead and check this. Okay, augment connections. Let's compare and create pull request. So base fork branch 2.0. Okay, add class methods for plugins registration. Class usage from Nornir core connections, import connections, connections register dummy class my connection plugin fetch used internally in programming connections. Okay, this looks good. Okay, so yeah, let's just go ahead and push this. Create pull request, and we got it. Okay, so now the CI will kick in. Probably there will be some problems that we'll have to fix, but it will take a while. So while it's being done, let me also quickly see the changes. Okay, so I delete all available connections, think not used anymore, blah blah blah, get connection type not used anymore, a couple of new things, get plugin, and there is a change in tests too. Damn it. Yeah, this is bad. Okay, let's do this. This part is incorrect. Okay, this part is fine. Okay, the init network Nornir plugins tasks networking underscore init file. Didn't get it right. So Nornir plugins tasks networking init okay here. So yeah, we'll have to change this part. I have to delete this and I have to delete that. And we will have to repush the file, but before we are going to do that, let's see what CI bot will tell us. If CI bot will be green, if it's not going, well, it's not going to be green. So my pie is fine. Black failed. Sphinx failed. Oh wow. Yeah, I will have to repush it. What about Sphinx? Why Sphinx is failing on me here? Oh, okay, the same thing. But black also failed. Black. Commands failed. You gonna be kidding me? Okay, so... Okay, we just repushed the change code. Damn it, everything here failed. Yeah, handling connections failed. Okay. So this should be redone here. So our CI bot is doing work again. Okay, let's park this. Yeah, we'll just have to wait. Let me know, guys, if you have any questions, some things that you would like to ask. We don't have a lot of people today, but that's alright. If this passes, I'm going to do a little bit of work on a little bit of work for another issue. Another issue that I have in mind is this one: support for several connections using the same connection plugin. So this is something that I would like to finish. So yeah, we'll just have to wait for now. So or not. Well, I think I can at least go ahead and go through the issue. Can I remember what was the idea there? Support for several connections using the same connection plugin. So we are using this where you can specify different connection name and it will still use whatever you want to use. Yeah, I will have to kind of like at least go through the code here. So the part that we are talking about here about connections, it goes back to the inventory connections, open connections. So here we are saying yeah, not so easy actually. We will need to yeah, you don't do the work like this for 1.5 weeks and then you just forget everything. Okay, so here is the idea, more generic solution. You say test task host open connection and you put the connection name and connection, and then let me go options. Let's see, by the way, on our PR status. Again, red X. No! What's wrong now? Okay, so this one worked. Sphinx worked. Black failed. Invocation error for command. Well, this is not helpful. Invocation error. Invocation error. Oh, I forgot to run it for tests. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and fix this. So what is the file? Test score, test connections. So black okay, this part we fixed. Now we have to fix PyLlama. Test core init by line 4, typing type imported but not used. Okay. Okay, this one unused. Nornir core connections, connection plugin imported but unused by flakes. What is going on? Yeah, okay, it's not used here. And plugin connections is not used too. Okay, so I think this should be fine. you'll have to say git status for these two files, git add, git commit amend, and git push force. Okay, so this will going to do its work. Okay, so let's go back to our issues. Okay, so here is the idea. No, this is not it. We'll need additional thing. So I need to go to docs. I think plugins. Okay, so here's what we want. We want to have this is not this. I think somewhere we had an example where you can specify plugin. It's the main reason why I implement connections as subclass of Dix, so we could implement something like this at this point, at some point. Okay, so you will have, let me go back. I may need to find something else. This one is 42 comments. This one was super big. Okay, so this is how inventory looks like. Username, password, port, netmiko options. But you can also say netmiko serial options, and you can put here whatever you want. And you can say plugin I think this is what we agreed. Yeah, plugin, and then you could say here netmico. Okay, so this is what I want to implement. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and check if our PR worked. Did it fail again? No. Somehow, and I do not know how, but I managed to fail every single test here. Like every single test. Like everything napalm, everything connections based is just failing. I honestly have no idea how I manage to just break the whole thing. Okay, it says connection parameter was not registered. And 5 minutes ago everything was fine. And I think I have a suspicion why it may happen, but I'm not 100% sure. What we did though, we yeah, I think I know what it is. While I was fixing that black thing and import thing, if you think about import, right? Import goes to like proper directory and it also runs in initpy. But once we removed the statement that plugins connections something, once we did that, our registration stopped working and our tests started to fail. Wow. This is so ridiculous. But since we want to register those, we have to import those connections just to run that code. thinking where is the best way to put it. Ideally, it should be put somewhere here in init.py. So we would want to import you would need to import these plugins. So from Nornir core import plugins, and then we have to say disable unused import. I was thinking that I will try to jump on another issue today, but it seems it's not going to happen. Have to fix this. Okay, Nornir core plugins import but unused by Flakes. Okay, now it is passing. So when we do this statement, if you think about it, right, it may seem like this doesn't make any sense, but it actually does. Damn it, no, this is not good. No, actually it's fine. It's going to be around months. Okay, so when I do this from Nornir core import plugins, right? We are going to Nornir core and it's incorrect. From Nornir import plugins. So we're going to Nornir plugins. Yeah, this is plugins import connections. We are going to Nornir plugins connections folder. The first thing that is going to happen is that we are going to execute code run in the init.py. And the init.py we have this connections register which is supposed to work. Hopefully. Okay, pytest. Okay, tests are now seem to work, allegedly. Just that one import statement and everything was broken. Okay, let's try pushing this change again. Let me see if there are any questions in the chat because I wasn't paying any attention. Okay, so forced update, so this worked for now. Right now I will just go ahead and wait for the CI to check this. So yeah, I mean, there is no reason to start doing another issue because we spent a lot of time on this one and we will have to wrap up soon. Meanwhile, I wanted to give you a quick update on another thing that we were doing, which is the couple of streams back I was migrating my work project from Ansible to Nornir. We didn't get everything done, but we got to some point where I was feeling that okay, this is a good point to stop. I was working on that obviously off the stream because it's my work project. I can't share everything that I was doing there because there is only one piece that I'm free to share. Everything else is actually, it's our internal stuff, so I can't really do that. But I think I am going to give you a sneak peek while we are waiting. So let me go ahead and give you the sneak peek. And I do really hope we will get a slot for that project on Cisco Live to talk about it. So it's projects I think it's here. Yeah, it's right here. So if you remember, the idea of the project that I'm working on is that you have a bunch of equipment, physical gear. They are pre-connected to your infrastructure with a bunch of ports, and the idea is that you can create your topology declaratively, and then you can deploy instances of this topology on your physical gear if you have enough gear. So let's say you created one or a couple of topologies and you will deploy 5 instances of that topology, 5 instances of that topology, and then the whole automation checks if you have the gear available, allocates the gear to pod, resets the pod, and basically does tunneling between the proper devices automatically. So previously, in the previous iteration of this project, we had a little bit different setup. We had our topology, and then we had the deployment file where I was mapping every single device from the topology to some device in the pool. Now we got rid of that, and this is a new format of the topology YAML, where if you go through it, you have a section with devices, and you define how your devices are named in your actual topology, and you say what this device is that you're looking for. In this case, I'm saying, well, I have 4 physical devices, HDC border, HDC access, and so on and so forth. Here I'm saying that, okay, I need a router. Here I'm saying I need a switch. Sometimes you also want to get a device from very specific group for some reason. This is our use case. But here's what is going on. You basically say what you want, router, switch. You can also be more specific. You can say, well, let me back that up. So every device in your topology has tags. So you may have, let's say, ISR 4K, and it has tags. Okay, it's a router, it's a ISR 4K, it's ISR 4331, but it's also ISR with LTE. Those are the tags. And here in the topology YAML, you can select device based on tags. So you can say, oh, I need a router, or I actually need to be more specific, and I need to say I need an ISR 4K with LTE. So if you have the device in your inventory, you can use it. So this is how your devices looks like. You basically say declaratively what each device is. what was absent before but now it's present is VMs. So maybe in your topology you also would like to have some virtual machines like ICE, like client 1, client 2. I also have here DNA center. And then later you have your connections. Basically you're saying how every device in your topology is connected between each other. So you say, okay, device on HDC border 1 on port 11 is connected to HDC access on port 11, and so on and so forth. You also define a connection between a device and VM. So let's say your device on one segment on port 13 should be connected to ICE VM and to DNA center VM, and so on and so forth. Then when you run the script, you say, well, I would like to have this topology 5 times. And then the script goes to every device, allocates devices which matching your requirements. This is the first step. Once those are allocated, you go ahead and build dynamic connections in your infrastructure between the required devices for physical devices as well as virtual machines. So for example, on this guy, we say, okay, I'm allocating some new VLAN, new Q&Q VLAN for the physical port on my switch, but also I will assign the same VLAN on my port group on the virtual machine. And basically you have all of those in the same segment. So I did all of that in Nornir. Well, kind of like, I would say even like in Python, but I was also using Nornir in some places. And now it's not 100% done, but I got farther. I finished most of the stuff that needs to be finished there. So I already have this kind of system where I say, okay, I need just 10 topologies of this, and it goes ahead through all of your gear and allocates the gear, allocates proper variables. The last piece that is needed there is to actually generate a config, or it's either CLI based or the netconf based config, and just to deploy to devices. So this is one thing. And second thing, we are thinking of building an actual web GUI for this, where you just log in, you have your inventory, you can reset any port as you like, you can reset everything, you can deploy whatever you like. So yeah, but GUI piece will come obviously later. So this is a project that I'm working on. It's just a sneak peek. I'm not going to give you a demo right now, but yeah, and unfortunately I can't share all the code that I wrote for this. But as I told you before, I hope we will get a slot for Cisco Live Europe first and maybe then US to talk about this project and to actually give some more insight on what's going on there. But yeah, I'm very excited about this. And Frosthammer, thank you very much for the compliment. Yeah, but yeah, this is what is going on in during my working week. So let me go ahead here and see if this worked. Yes, and I have a green check mark here which says all checked have passed. What it really means is that with one button, someone like David, for example, or Kirk can actually merge this. Okay, so now all tests are done here. Probably they will like or not like something, and then there will be some changes to these files. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this right now. Let's see what David and Kirk will comment on this PR. I see that we're already going for quite a while, for 3 hours right now. So I think it's a good point to wrap up, to do a quick summary, and then say goodbye. So, quick summary. Today we will continue contributing to Nornir, which is open sourced Python automation framework, which I really like. and I'm also using it at work and for some of my personal projects. And if you know Python and you would like to do some automation at scale, I advise you to check it out. I hope you will like an API, and if you don't, just open an issue and we will work on it with the team, or you can even contribute with the code. What we have done today is we were working on one of the issues that I raised. The idea there was to move from the static static mapping of the plugins to kind of like dynamic. So I created an API where if you create your own custom connection plugin, let's say for VMware or whatever that is, right? You can create it, and then using our API you can register it with some specific name in your code. So, and this API is available internally, so for built-in plugins as well as externally, so if you build it yourself. So yeah, this is basically it, just one issue, not a lot, but I'm still satisfied with the progress. We were struggling with getting our CI/CD pipeline past all the tests. After fourth attempt, it got all green. So yeah, here we'll be waiting for the feedback from the core developers of the project. Next time I'm still debating if it's going to be about PyTS or maybe another stream about Nornir or maybe something else. Yeah, we'll see. I hope I will have some time to review the PyATS, at least what it has to offer, and maybe we'll do about PyATS, but I will let you know, guys, next week on Friday what we are going to stream about on Sunday as usual. So Frosthammer, thank you very much. I also, from my side, I would like to thank you guys for sticking with me during these 3 hours. I wish you an easy working week, and I see you next Sunday. Thank you, and bye everyone.